This here is Shujin Academy VGM Club. They call me Lefty the Cowboy, and I'm today's guest host. The opening track for this episode is Sancho de los Panchos from Live a Live, composed by Yoko Shimomura. And as I mentioned, I am Lefty the Cowboy. That's not actually my name, but people call me Lefty on account of me being left-handed, and my family calls me the Cowboy because I felt the call of the open range and became a cowboy instead of following in the family tradition of academia. My cousin Professor Tom decided he needed to take a vacation after all the work of putting those Masters of VGM episodes together, so he called me and asked if I'd do an episode of the show, and I'm sitting here recording this, so I think I said yes. Now, my favorite two types of music are the two best kinds of music, country and western, but I like all kinds. Bluegrass music, folk music, outlaw music, Appalachian music, cowboy music, and even once in a while some countrypolitan. This here is a video game music podcast, and when I'm not doing chores or punching cattle, I do like playing some video games, so I thought I'd bring in some country music video game songs for y'all to listen to today. We're going to start things off with another Yoko Shimomura song, Train Game, from one of her very first compositions, Adventures in the Magic Kingdom for the NES. This is a fiddle song that sounds like a good hootenanny, all about a train. That Yoko Shimomura is definitely a little lady who can write a good tune. The fiddle in this song just gets faster and faster, like a train pulling away from the station. After that, we're going to hear 4 songs from Nobuo Uematsu. There's going to be Shadow from Final Fantasy VI, which is the theme of the game's ninja, but he's a pretty bad hombre like Clint Eastwood, so the song pulls inspiration from Ennio Morricone's soundtracks for spaghetti western movies. And then I'll play track 4, an untitled and unused theme song from Rad Racer 2. I don't know why this song weren't used in the game. It's a great bluegrass banjo picking tune that'll make you get up and dance. After that, we'll hear Fiddle to Chocobo from Final Fantasy VII, which is a good old square dance tune that'll have you stomping your feet. Lastly in this block, there's Farm Boy from Final Fantasy VII, which feels like a peaceful time sitting on your front porch for a spell. Professor Tom just did himself those Masters of VGM episodes where he showed off both those two fine musicians, and so I thought I'd do my own little thing where I showed off how good they can be at country-type songs when they put their mind to it. For a couple of people in Japan, they sure do get what it's like to live out here in the American countryside. Alright, I talked long enough. Let's get to that music. Those songs were Train Game from Adventures in the Magic Kingdom, and then Shadow from Final Fantasy VI, Track 4/Unknown from Rad Racer 2, and then Fiddle de Chocobo and Farm Boy, both from Final Fantasy VII. And now, it's time for a word from our sponsor.
Come on down to Chocobill's Chocobo Farm, where the whole family can experience the fun and adventure of riding our chocobos across the open plains. If you're interested in chocobo breeding and racing, we've got a good selection of thoroughbred chocobos to choose from in lots of different colors. And you can finish your day with a chocobo egg omelet and a big old glass of chocobo milk. Head on down to Chocobill's Chocobo Farm today.
Alright, partners, it's time to get back to the show. If and you have played Advance Wars, you probably remember Grit. He's a cowboy, like me, only he's also a general, which is not like me. He's a crack shot, a definite expert in long-range combat, and if you ask me, that's the smartest type of combat a fella can have, on account of you don't get punched in the face that way. Grit's also a laid-back sort, and I'll start the next music block off with his theme from Advance Wars 2, which was put together by Yoshihito Hirano. Like Grit, this is a laid-back song that sounds like relaxing and taking it easy. It's a real treat for you. The second song I'll play in this block is Duel with Gadwin from Grandia, composed by the great Noriyuki Iwadare. Some of you might be familiar with Iwadare's work from his soundtracks for the Lunar games, or maybe that Landgrisser series. Although this song is about a fight with Gadwin, he's a right hombre and joins up with your party after the fight. Gadwin's not actually a cowboy, because medieval fantasy don't have cowboys, but he sounds like the type who could ride the range with me anytime. The third song you'll hear is Jake Marshall, Wandering Detective from the Wild West, from Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney. Jake's a cowboy lawman who gets all mixed up with Phoenix Wright. There's not a lot of cowboys in them Ace Attorney games, but they do got some good music, and this here is as cowboy songs can get. After that, I'll play Battle Point Version B from the Super Famicom version of Brandish to the Planet Buster. This is a pretty intense fiddle and banjo song from Takahiro Tsunashima of the Falcom Sound team from a game that's never been rightly released in North America, although some Enterprise and buckaroos have got together and translated it into English if you want to play it yourself on an emulator. Now, the fifth song in this block is from Tokimeki Memorial, and it's called Song of the Southern Islands, Okinawa Trip. If and you ain't played it, Tokimeki Memorial is a game where you take little ladies on dates and court them until you fall in love. Professor Tom said that he'd already played this song on the Valentine's Day episode, but I stuck to my guns and told him that it'd work here, and he wasn't me, and this was my episode of the show, and he backed down. If and it bothers you that it's already been played, it's only 2 minutes long, so you can hold your horses for that long. Or just fast forward, there are timestamps in the show notes for a reason, you know. And for the last two songs in this block, I'll play a couple of good old country songs written by Tommy Tallarico for some Sega Genesis games. It'll be Handy Asteroids from Earthworm Jim, and then Western Tune from Cool Spot. Mr. Tallarico has said and done some no good things in the past few years relating to his use of Intellivision's brand, but he's done some good things for video game music as well. What I'm saying here is that sometimes people wear white hats, and sometimes people wear black hats, and sometimes people wear gray hats, and we all gotta decide for ourselves whether someone's sins outweigh their good stuff. Anyway, this is a couple of strong songs coming out of that Genesis sound chip, and I hope you enjoy. Let's hear them songs, partners. Alright, them songs were Grit's theme from Advance Wars 2, Duel with Gadwin from Grandia, Jake Marshall Wandering Detective from the Wild West from Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney, Battle Point Version B from Brandish 2, Song of the Southern Islands from Tokimeki Memorial, Andy Asteroids from the Genesis version of Earthworm Jim, and Western Tune from the Genesis version of Cool Spot. And that there is the show. Professor Tom is not a hard man to find. You can email him at shujinacademyvgmclub@gmail.com. You can find him on Twitter at ShujinVGMClub, and he's hung up a shingle on Instagram at ShujinAcademyVGMClub. If you liked this show, please leave us a 5-star rating on iTunes or Spotify or wherever you're finding this episode. I'm going back to my ranch, but if you want to get a hold of me, tell my cousin Professor Tom and he'll send me word. He's going to be back for the next episode, so y'all should look forward to that. Special thanks to Bedroth of the Very Good Music Podcast for being the voice of Choco Bill. I appreciate the helping hand. You can find him on Twitter at VGMPod, and you can check out Very Good Music at your local podcast watering hole. A fine fella by the name of Jameson did the art for this episode, so a tip of my cowboy hat and some special thanks go out to him as well. His podcast is called Bar Silence, and you can take a gander at it wherever you find your podcasts. Also, his ranch is found over yonder on Twitter at Bar Silence VGM. I got one more song for you cowpokes on that playout. It's New Mexican Thunderbird, T-Hawk stage from Super Street Fighter II Turbo HD Remix. This little ditty was originally written by Isao Abe and Seun Nishigaki. For the HD Remix re-release of this game, the gang at Capcom asked the gang at OC Remix to take a gander at things, and this particular song was reworked by a good cowboy named Vurez. Thank you for listening. I'm Lefty the Cowboy, and we'll see you folks next time on Shujin Academy VGM Club. Y'all come back now, you hear?